Hey, good morning there, YouTube world. Well, let's get right into it. Front Row Motorsports announces their driver lineup. Um, None of it was really shocking to me. I kind of knew what was going to go on, um, especially in the last couple of weeks. So, Zane Smith is going to be in a 38 truck. Todd Gilliland is moving into the Cup 38 car, and Michael McDowell is in the 34. All right, so let's get out the alibis real fast, logistics here. So Zane Smith and Todd Gilliland signed multi-year deals, which I've been a Front Row FRM fan for a very long time. I think this is the first year they've signed multi-year deals. The company's gotten bigger, sponsorships more solid, partners, things of that nature. So I think they will do it. Now, just because you got a multi-year deal doesn't necessarily mean you're locked in. There's ways to get out of a contract. We've seen it before. It's not too terribly difficult. You can buy yourself out of a contract. You can be released. There's other things there's things that can happen. So, anyways, how do I feel about all this? Well, I like the fact they said Todd Gilliland's a multi-year deal. I really initially did not like the fact he was jumping in the Cup. I didn't like it. I am a big, I'm big on people going through the Xfinity Series, getting your feet wet, and going to Cup. I mean, there's people that are saying Harrison Burton's not ready for Cup, and he raced 2 years in Xfinity. So, and the thing is Todd Gilliland is going from a very competitive truck team that was winning a race and, average finish of 9.5 or something like that to the 38 car. So let's unpack the pros and cons and let's see if we can balance this decision out and justify it, right? So let's go through the whole process. All right. Let's look at who Ford has as drivers, right? So on the Cup side, you've got, Cole Custer, all those guys, Chase Briscoe, blah, blah, blah. Up and coming stars, right? Or, up and comers. And they're I don't think they're quite doing what Ford had planned as new drivers. Matt D's out, Ryan Newman's out, Austin Cindric is now Ford driver in Cup, new guy. But let's look at going back. Well, where's Todd Gilliland go? Well, you got Haley Deegan. She's in a DGR truck. And then you got Riley Herbst and Ryan Sieg. And those are the only two Xfinity drivers. And Riley Herbst is, out of Ryan Sieg, is the only guy that's, did anything, made it into the playoffs barely, did not have a good playoff run. Riley Herbst has just got some, I think he's a good little driver. He's got some things he's just got to work on. So there was nowhere to put Todd Gilliland unless Ford opened up an Xfinity car, which was a possibility because they did have a lot of inventory on the Cup side. Now, converting in the Cup car to Xfinity car is a little bit more involved than maybe what you've heard. It's not as easy as just like, there you go. I mean, you got to put a whole new body on it, and it takes some time. So it's not like it's a transition, but it's not necessarily the smoothest transition. Okay, so now where are we left at? All right, we're left at Ford wants Todd to stay around and to move up. And I don't think Todd needed to run in the trucks anymore. I think that had it not been for the playoff system and everything else, he would have been Final Four easy. We saw John Hunter Nemechek. He didn't win a championship. Won 5 races, but didn't win a championship. So, it's all about, in my opinion, how you look throughout the year. And Front Row Motorsports and that truck looked outstanding throughout the year. Like I said, 9.5. I mean, just great runs. And if it wasn't for the way the truck drivers are in that series with, you know, bashing Indy and everything, he would have won more races. But, you know, unfortunately, the trucks they didn't race super clean races by a long shot this past year. But anyways, so yeah, I think Ford had some input in wanting him to go to Cup. I don't think this was totally on FRM. You know, rookies of the year this year are going to be Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland. So, do I think the 38 car is going to have, you know, enough performance to be able to knock out good finishes? Yeah, I think so. When you look at that 38 team now, they're built up. You know, they got Seth Barber. He's been around for a long time. He knows how to be a Cup crew chief. I don't think he's the best Cup crew chief, but he's decent. And the big thing we got to take away from all this is Todd Gilliland. He knows the organization. His dad raced there for 5 years. David has still been, you know, really around FRM and stuff like that. You know, and then, you know, Todd raced there for 2 years and everything else. So, unlike Alfredo, Todd's been to all the tracks that the Cup guys are going to go to, as far as I know. Maybe not the Indy Road Course, but, you know, they're bringing back qualifying and practice this year for Cup to a very limited thing. So that's going to help Todd. He's going to be able to at least make laps around the track. Even if they're only warm-up laps in 15 minutes, it's better than nothing. I think the sponsors were really on board with Todd Gilliland and moving him up. I think they're going to keep a lot of the same ones. And remember, I said that this was on, you know, all contingent on some sponsorship stuff. So, you know, Todd Gilliland, you're going to see Blackstar, Crossley Radios, Frontline Enterprises, which I still can't figure out what they do, but they have to be a private company of some sort, because I've Googled the heck out of that Frontline Enterprises company. I can't find much on them. I think they're like a trucking company, but you're going to have Speed Cash come back, I imagine. You're going to have Speedco come back, and then you're going to have Chicago Pneumatic and probably the Pete Store. So, of course, Cup does run more this year than trucks do. So, I can only imagine that Zane Smith is going to have some sponsorships coming with him too to help out the team. And I don't know how much of what I like to call Front Row Motorsports team branded sponsors will be on Zane's car. I think Zane's probably bringing a lot of his own stuff, which I think is good. I think Front Row needs to help grow with another sponsorship, you know, with other brands, and see if they can, you know, merge together and, you know, stay around in NASCAR and with the team. So, what are my expectations for Todd Gilliland? Well, you know, this new car is going to be interesting. It's I just think that because it's so new and so many people are still figuring it out at the same time, that yes, a Kevin Harvick and his experience will help him, and yes, a Joey Logano and a Brad Keselowski, that will all help them, and they're still going to be good, and the good teams are going to rise to the top. But it's like when we saw earlier this past year, when some of the smaller teams, because of the parts freeze and everything else, you know, they were keeping up with the big teams, and then, you know, once the season got going, it, you know, it got kind of back how it should have been. But yeah, I just think that if you're going to put a rookie in now, though, and just to be clear, I'm never a big fan of putting, moving rookies right in the cup right away. I'm just not a big fan of that. But if you're going to do it, I think this is the year to do it, because this car is just so completely different than anything we've ever had. It's way different. And with that said, there's still a lot of issues with it. I was listening to Kevin Harvick talk on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s podcast, and it's just they've got to fix some of the mechanical grip issues and the aero grip, and it sounds like right now it's driving off the right rear. And Kevin had some great insights on the car, and he was saying that they need to add a little bit of side down force, because right now you have to tighten up the car. You have to tighten it up so much mechanically to get it to drive decent, but once it gets in disturbed air, it just goes all over the place. And I think Kevin, he wants the cars to drive. He wants them to be hard to drive, but not like how they're driving now. He quoted the 1999, 2001 cars, how, they were kind of difficult to drive. But, you were still kind of able as a driver to kind of feel when it was going to let loose on you. Or with these cars, you start to lose it, and it's almost over. Like, you really can't, you can't. Like, it's over. So, that's something that, drivers are going to have to keep learning on and deal with. And will NASCAR have all that fixed by the time the car comes out? I don't know. They got 8 weeks to do it. Maybe. This next test is going to be pretty big. But I like how NASCAR is taking the teams and the NASCAR guys, and they're trying to fix it as a whole community, and not just, NASCAR is going to fix it on their own. They're going to the teams, which, in my opinion, are a lot more capable of fixing these issues than NASCAR does. NASCAR, to Kevin Harvick's point, they don't have the resources to fix these problems with the car. And NASCAR, I think, knows that. It's a lot different age now than it was, 30 years ago in the sport. So yeah, I think Todd's a clean driver. I think he's going to keep it up well. I know that he's not used to running long races, but his driving style is very much long-legged. He's all about long green flag runs, and he's in great shape. He's young. I just think that it suits his personality. He's, one of the criticisms that they had for the trucks this year is the cars was always set up for these super long green flag runs, and the car would catch on fire 3/4 of the way into a, you know what I mean? So he likes long green flag runs. Now, that's different from saying long races, but I think it's just going to suit him better in that aspect. The competition's going to be rough now. You move up from trucks to cups, it's a whole different ball game. It's just another beast. It's a whole nother beast. Like I said, I don't really think he's ready for it, but he's got great mentorship from his father. Front Row Motorsports, I think. I kind of feel like Alfredo never really got accepted and never really, I don't know, he just didn't mesh well. I didn't really like it in the beginning. I don't know, it's like when you don't fit in, you don't fit in. And I think with Todd, he fits in. Everyone likes him. He's been there for so long. And I know that's kind of, you're saying, well, that's not very nice to Alfredo. No, it's not. But, unfortunately, it's just like that. You go to a new company sometimes, and, it's just not the right fit for you. And I think that that with Todd, they're going to, I don't know. I think they're just going to help him out a little more than they did Alfredo. I think they're going to make more of an effort with Todd. I just think with David Gilliland and the lineage that's there, and how Todd's just, You know, he's really been grinding. I think that if I was working at a shop, I would think that someone like Alfredo's a nice guy, but I mean, you know, Todd's got the credentials, man. Alfredo, he just kind of ran a couple Xfinity Series races, and that's it. I mean, Todd's won races and at least the Truck Series and won championships and the you know, the K&N Series, and Alfredo didn't do any of that. Just ran some late models. I mean, Todd's won races in ARCA. I mean, you know, he's got wins under his belt. So I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to throw shade at Alfredo, but you know, if we're doing some comparisons, will this be a good move for a front row? The jury's still out. I mean, you know, Eric Easteep said, well, I don't know what their vision is. Well, I think their vision is to grow that 38 car and make it better, and to have the next superstar guy. I think they're trying really hard. It's just that, you know, I get what Eric Easteep's saying. I mean, I understand. He feels like it should be a one-car team, but I really think with this new car, though, to Eric Steep's point, I think having teammates are going to be somewhat important again, at least for the first year, and with having practice. I think the old car, everything was figured out, and he had all the SMT data and everything else, but with this new car, I think teammates are going to make a role. I didn't think that, you know, 6 months ago. But the more that comes out about this car, the more we're figuring out that you can make adjustments. You know, they're talking about being able to play with the inside of the rear differential, or I guess you call it the transaxle. You know, so that was not anything talked about. So the more and more it comes out about this car, the more we're finding out there's things that can be worked on. Still not a lot, but there's some wiggle room, and I just think that this car is a little more complicated than people initially thought. I think people thought, oh, it's just going to be a Delora chassis, you know, blah blah blah, here you go, you know, plug and chug, go race. No, I think there's a lot more feedback that can be given, and I think the teammates are, at least in this first year, I think it's going to matter. And I think it's going to help someone like McDowell being able to, you know, to talk about it. And I think that Todd Gilliland's such a good road course racer. I think that this car, McDowell swears up and down that this will fit right into his wheelhouse of style racing, and he can give that feedback to Todd, because this is what McDowell grew up on, and we'll see how good he really is in this type of style of car that he claims. We'll see. But anyways, like I said, the jury's still out on how they perform. You know, a year of top 20 in points is probably where they're shooting at. I think if they get top 25 in points, which would be way better than Alfredo got, that's a win. You know, Alfredo started off the first part of the season okay, and man, he just started wrecking all the time, man. And the wheels kind of fell off, you know, and you know, just bad luck. But we'll see. Same thing could happen to Todd. Who knows? But I don't really agree with the decision. But on the same token, it's not as it's not as bad of a decision as it was last year with Alfredo. So you know, I'm in disagreement with it, but I'm going to be supportive. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry it's a little bit long and kind of chatty here, but leave your comments below. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk about Nashville Fairgrounds the next video, and how that's all coming about. Thanks.